Hey everyone, what's going on? So today I woke up to the new ban list through a message, and at first I thought it was just someone trolling, and then when I actually decided to look at the list, I was met with this. I don't know where to begin on this list. It's um it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. So let's actually get right into it. So for the ban cards, there's Gofu. Um, Gofu had it coming. Gofu's just ever since Lynx came out and people are like, oh, Gofu equals decode talker, or in the future where it equals needle fiber. It's just had it coming for a long time, and it's a good thing that it was finally hit because at 3 it was kind of fair, like because it's the same problem with Max C where it either needs to be at 3 or banned because you open this card and you go nuts, just like with Max C. And if your opponent doesn't open the same thing, then they basically get blown out. But at 1, that's the problem it had, where if one person would open it, they would just blow the other person out. So yeah, it's one of those cards that 3 are banned, and now it's banned. Moving on is Dandelion. This is probably a preemptive hit due to that needle fiber synchro plant deck that's people have been talking about. Dandelion has also been in a lot of just like degenerate decks. This is definitely a good hit because this card is just really degenerate. It goes to the grave and you get free tokens. And of course it can never just like go up on the list and it's still broken at 1. But it's been around for so long and it's really just that Lynx finally made it too good to be around. So they finally got rid of it. Next, is Double Iris Magician. So I don't think this hit was too reasonable. This is kind of overkill. What really confuses me about this and another hit is Pendulum Magicians and Trickstars had just about the same amount of tops, but as I go through the list, you're not going to see any Trickstar hits. I'm just going to say that right now. And Double Iris Magician did not need to be banned. It could have gone to 1 or 2, but being banned was really just overkill. Next is Level Eater. Everyone was saying that this card was going to be hit, and there it is. It's just a degenerate card that just keeps coming back and making stupid combos. Super broken card. It's another thing just like Dandelion where it finally became way too good as a card that was already really good before Lynx. So it's just another one of those cards where Lynx just made it too good of a card. Next is Max C, which was banned. I mentioned this earlier with Gofu, where it's that one card where it's at 1, and if one person opens it and the other person doesn't, the person who didn't open it just gets completely blown out. Has to be at 3 or banned, and it's banned, so there's not really much else to discuss with that. Next is Perform Pal Skullcrobat Joker. This is the other card I was mentioning with Double Iris, where it is just way too much. Like Pendulum Magicians, everyone's predicting it was gonna get hit, but it was hit way too hard. These 2 bans basically kills the deck. Everyone that I've talked to about it have either agreed or they've been trying to salvage this deck, but it's pretty much done with that hit. So next up is going to be the limited cards. Apocryphort Towers came back to 1, which is really cool. Especially with the new Klee card, the new Klee Link. So it looked like they're trying to find new ways to push the Extreme Force by adding old cards back into play. And now that there's ways to out Apocalypse towers easily. People have always been saying for the longest time, yeah, towers can come back. At 1, I think it's going to be perfectly fine. It's easy to out now versus when it first came out, and you had to play like really weird cards to get around the thing. Next is Grinder Golem at 1. I don't know how I feel about this. Like, it's definitely a needed hit. Grinder Golem is a really broken card, but I don't think it really got its chance to shine. It's kind of like a preemptive hit, and like I said, didn't really get a chance to shine. It's down to 1, and now that's at 1, I'm actually taking it out of my decks because it takes up way too much extra deck space just to hope that you open this one unsearchable card. That's just my opinion on it. I don't think it's playable anymore because you're using too much extra deck resources on a card that's at 1. Next is for Mage Damage Juggler, back to 1. I don't think this really matters. There's just nothing to really play it in. I don't know what else to say about that card. Next is Firewall Dragon to 1. This is really interesting because a lot of time people believe that popular anime cards can't be hit, but here it is at 1. This is pretty fair. It stops the firewall loops with broken combos and stuff like that, while still letting it be a playable card that can still do a lot in the deck that you put it in. Without, like, passing with 3 firewalls and God knows what else. So this is a pretty fair hit. It just shuts out degenerate combos mostly, as well as putting a very powerful card out of being, like, spammed. Next is Monster Reborn to 1. For the first thing I want to mention is I think this card went to 1 because of that OTS Lost Art promo. And also, Monster Reborn is past its prime, definitely. It's still a really good card, and yes, it can still steal games. But, and I think a lot of people are still going to continue to play it now that it's available, but it's no longer, like, a super broken card, and that, like, you kind of just, like, top deck. Like I just mentioned, yes, it can steal games, but there's more ways to counter whatever you decide to summon off of it. Next is Spiral Resort to 1. This hit is really, really annoying because this is the only hit that spirals get, and recently they took up 75% of the tops at a recent event. So what's really weird is, while this is the only hit that spirals get, and they take up 75% of tops, Pendulum Magicians, a deck that doesn't have nearly that many tops, got 2 cards banned. It's ridiculous. It's just so crazy. Like, this is the problem that we had with Zoo and True Draco, where everything else was just hit before it had any chance to shine. Meanwhile, these decks that were dominating just kind of get, like, slap on the wrist. I don't think it's right. It's just, it's so messed up in my opinion. By banning Pendulum Magician stuff, they kind of, like, killed the sales for Exfo, because no one's gonna care about Electromite that much, unless, like, you're playing Zephyra or Metal Foes. Yeah, they definitely killed Exfos before it had any chance to sell. Just by, like, hitting Pendulum Magicians and not doing anything really to spirals. Now at 1 is Solemn Judgment. It's a card that the people have been saying can come back to 1. I think it's also meant to push the sales of the new Counter Fairy deck, because of course it's a counter trap. But it's also good in, like, pretty much anything. It's a good card. Now, for the cards that came back, Artifact Moral Attack. There's not much to say about this card because artifacts aren't really a big thing, and people usually play Scythe over this instead, because Scythe is just like lock your opponent out for a turn. To 3 is Blackluster Soldier Envoy at the beginning. There was a time when this card was at 1, which wasn't too long ago. And now here it is at 3. It used to be super broken and insane and just win games, and now it's at 3. Card Trooper is at 2. Thunder King Ryo, which another card that was at 1 a time ago, is also at 3. Bryanak, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. After its errata, it was able to come back to 1 with when it was previously banned, and now here it also is at 3. Brain Control, another card that was banned for a long time, and now it is at 3. El Shaddoll Fusion, which came from 2, I believe, and now it's at 3. It's probably going to be to help the new Shaddoll link. Future Fusion, which was at 1, and now it went right to 3. Mind Control. This is an interesting hit, because it was never a card that was banned, it just like kind of popped back to 3. Preparation of Rites. Now that, well, Necros has been dead for a while, but now, like, that there's no real good ritual deck, Preparation of Rites is fair. Sacrifice. As I mentioned with Fort Towers, it's just like they want to push the new Klee link and get people to play Klee, I guess. 3 Bottomless Trap Hole. This is another one that I found really interesting. It goes from 1 all the way up to 3. I think they kind of just copied this off of the OCG list because nobody really used Bottomless Trap Hole there. And I don't know how much play it's going to see here. 3 Ceasefire. It was at 2, and now it's at 3. Because no one really plays Burn anymore. 3 Ojama Duo, or Trio, because once again, nobody plays Burn anymore. And Torrential Tribute from 1 to 3, again, because nobody really plays this card. So finally, my thoughts on this ban list. Personally, I don't like it. I think it's very poorly designed. They hit cards that... They made good hits, and they made bad hits. They really didn't do much to Spirals, which is what everyone wanted, while they hit Pendulum Magicians, which most people didn't want, because most people were excited for Electromite to come out and finally have a deck that can really play against Spirals and have, like, an even playing field. Like, a lot of people were excited for that, and now Pendulum Magicians don't really get a chance to shine as good as they could have. So, people are really disappointed with that, especially including myself. Meanwhile, Spirals are just free to do whatever. So it's gonna be, I'm gonna say, like, the future meta is gonna be Spirals, Trickstars, which didn't get hit at all, even though people wanted Reincarnation to 1 or 2. And it tops just as well as Pendulum Magicians. And possibly ABC, since, like, they were already making some pretty decent tops. And now with Pendulum Magician out of the way, which is a huge problem for them, they can just kind of be better. So that's my opinion on the ban list, and what I think the future ban list deck meta is. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be like the previous format, everyone was like, really enjoyed it because there was about 6 pretty competitive decks. And now we're only gonna have 2 or 3, so I'm already gonna guess that this is gonna be a very stale format very quickly. But that's just how I feel about the ban list. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And while you're down there, check out the description where you can find the links to all the Garo Gaming media. Make sure to check that stuff out and share the video, like the video, and subscribe. See you guys next time.